I find it difficult to fully describe the complex emotions I get behind the wheel of this old rattletrap. It is definitely a car, but it is certainly not a simple or straightforward machine. There's no hood in front, so the visibility is excellent. That is probably everything there is to say about this vehicle. Everything else about it is far from excellent. But if you know exactly how much it cost and what it was originally made for, you can forgive a great deal. Despite the remarkably flimsy and somewhat awkward-looking construction, after you have spent some time driving it for several kilometers, you actually start to feel a surprising sense of confidence in the car while navigating the open road.
It was a time when some perished in agony, some fought to the bitter end just to spite their enemies, and others survived by adapting to the changing reality. The blessed 1990s. Those who didn't live through those years won't understand. A harsh, difficult time. It exposed many of the problems of a betrayed country and betrayed people. Fairy tales remain just myths. The storytellers changed their tune, and ordinary people tightened their belts to dig themselves out alone. This meant dealing with all the mess and going against the current. And some believed they could create a product that people actually needed, that the state would help, that the domestic product, if not the best, would at least be reliable. And they created. There are many examples, and here is one of them. This little car. Take a look. And it all started with an idea. A very simple, technologically advanced, and remarkably affordable car made from parts that are always at hand and sold in just about any store. The car was supposed to become a support for the most vulnerable group in society, people with disabilities. The Serpukhov box S3D had been discontinued, and even the same Siaz in its disabled version was very expensive. In short, people with limited mobility in our country lacked means of transportation, especially in rural areas. A couple of words about the enterprise, the Avtoagregat plant. In Soviet times, it stamped out parts for ZLK. Today, having shrunk, it continues to churn out parts for everyone. You know, Vestas, Auruses, that sort of thing. But back then, in the mid-90s, they still had the strength. Maybe they lacked the knowledge. But there was a real desire to build a universal car. The plant didn't have its own design bureau, so they decided to turn to colleagues who had gained experience in creating small people's cars. Or maybe they just asked for less money. That's not the point. The partner in the development was ZAZ, the Zaporizhzhia automobile plant. But the project was essentially the brainchild of the plant's chief designer, Alexander Sergeyevich Tsivilev. The concept was simple: to create something using domestically produced components from cars that were being manufactured at the time. And they did create it, as you can see. What should we call the body design? It's a space frame, welded from the most ordinary profiles that you could get at any metal supply store. Naturally, everything is welded thoughtfully, so it's not just a frame, but also a safety cage, among other things. The mounting points for the components are located right on it. Body panels? There aren't any, cheap and simple. Just some welded-on pieces of sheet metal. Are decorative elements not elements? Decorations. This is the actual door. If you don't weld metal to the bottom, you'll end up with a buggy. To be honest, there are plastic fenders and wheel arches here, and a fake grille. It was easier this way than making them out of steel. The car's interior, what can I say about it? There's a seat, a roof, a shelf, and a steering wheel. It's all there. The controls are in place, and that's enough. Everything else just makes the car expensive. It's the bare minimum, Spartan style. But most importantly, 4 people can ride in here. Ride comfortably, too. Do you think the car will completely break down if you load it to its absolute maximum? No. The reality is that the suspension components, for example, possess the durability of a full-fledged car because they are taken directly from a real production car, the AZLK 2141. Let's start with the front, which is, relatively speaking, the simplest. So, as I mentioned, the struts are from the 41st model. The axle is just a regular tube. The steering knuckles are also from a Moskvich. And in the middle, there's a custom-made A-shaped stabilizing rod, plus 2 more on the sides. But in the back, it's simply a marvel. I can practically see the Zaporozhet's engineers shouting, "We're not the only ones who have to suffer!" The struts here are also from a Moskvich. And here there's a hood. And underneath it, by the way, tucked right inside this metal box, you will find a heater. Everything is so well thought out. So, my fellow noble dons, the differential on the right wheel is taken from a Murave. See? The drive goes to the right wheel. And where's the drive for the left wheel? It's inside the tube, in the axle. This was a forced solution. And what other methods can you use to effectively transfer torque without relying on a chain drive? After all, this is a machine, not a car. So, in a grown-up way, the torque is transmitted by a drive shaft with universal joints. From what? This is a steering universal joint from a ZIL 130. There's also an in-house development from the factory here. The universal gearbox, actually from it comes the drive shaft and the gearbox. We got lucky. We have the Lux trim with a Canadian CVT. And yes, you could order that too. Speaking of how cool it is, if I'm not mistaken, they tried it out here. Which means it fits 16 different engine options. Take your pick, anyone you want. They've put in IJ and Urbit engines here, as well as non-orthodox American single-cylinder ones, Yugoslavian Zastava and Lombardini, spelled with a D, and even the Tula Diesel TMZ 450. I know one good person, well, used to be good, who has a Kineshma with that engine. And they stuffed ATVs in here without any trouble at all. But as the original creator once mentioned, not to me of course, that the Briggs & Stratton is the best fit for this machine. Here at the VBV Museum near Zelenograd, they have precisely that kind of engine from a lawnmower. By the way, they're still made in America today. It's a 4-stroke engine with a displacement of 391 cubic centimeters. Maximum power is 13 horsepower. Maximum torque is achieved at 3,600 revolutions per minute. They're also used in motor pumps, generators, plate compactors, and tamping rammers. By the way, all these wooden parts here aren't just for show, I want to point out. In fact, if you simply remove the protective canopy on the very top, you will discover that you get a remarkably spacious and highly functional cargo compartment. It's not even just a cargo compartment, but a full-fledged truck bed. Although the backrest is currently missing from the seat, it actually played a very significant part in the process of transporting hay across the farm. In addition to that, you also have this charming little truck that is perfect for moving smaller loads around the property. Oh, this is a very practical and impressively compact small truck that seems perfect for handling all sorts of everyday tasks quite efficiently. And what about the little gate? And what about the seating position, by the way? How do the front seats fold? Simplicity. And in winter, my friends, you won't freeze here for two reasons. To start with the basics, the front windshield is a fully heated glass unit, which was originally sourced from an AZLK 2141 model. Well, that's a good idea, and there's a heater too. Here it is. These are the specific control levers used to redirect the internal airflow. Well, it's homemade, but original. There are even sun visors, an interior mirror, and look at those huge side mirrors. And by the way, this is the emergency brake. There is also a convenient tablet holder. And of course, we have the seat belts. For the rear passengers, probably. Well then, let's start. Look at that, I'm searching for the pedals with my feet. There's a starter. This isn't the gear shifter. Oh! Well, at least there's a pull starter. This isn't the gear shift lever. It's right here. Forward and back. That's it. Forward. And right from the start, it completely feels like I'm riding on a motorized fishing box with wheels. You know, the kind people take with them for ice fishing. The car is very small, measuring just 2.7 meters long. You can feel all the delights of the surrounding nature and the road. The compact-sized wheels with tires from the ZIS 350 and full drum brakes really don't handle potholes well. They're really tiny, actually. But how should I put this gently? You could say it's indifferent. It couldn't care less about potholes, honestly. It just doesn't care. It falls right into them, clatters and bangs around inside, but it doesn't die. It's a bit scary, but the overall level of safety and the margin for error is just incredible. And the sound in the cabin is absolutely and utterly breathtaking, though I can't really show you that right now. The off-road capability of this little car is phenomenal. Weight distribution is 35 to 65 rear biased with serious ground clearance, wild body geometry, and insane suspension travel. The top speed, though, is limited. The maximum speed is 50 kilometers per hour. I'm anxious, I'm flying. You can really feel the low center of gravity. And do you know how many of these Kineshmas were made in total? They say 350 units, and 50 of them were in the cross version. Keep your foot on the gas and a steady hand on the brake. The way it sounds, it's also unnatural. Meanwhile, Kineshmas were also produced with standard controls, featuring pedals and a traditional floor-mounted gearbox. If it's the version with the motorcycle gearbox, then the shifting is sequential. If it's the ADAC version, well, everything there is traditional. To very briefly continue the story of the Kineshma, here it is. They couldn't find the money, so they tried to do it themselves. They made a buggy together with another company and built a very cute little car called the Bee. Then came the B-Cross. But the government money, let's put it mildly, never got past the officials. And in the early 2000s, the project was shut down, the tooling was scrapped, and the project documentation turned to dust from that era. At this point, there's an unpronounceable tirade of swear words. If, at that point in time, government officials and authorities had supported such initiatives from self-taught inventors and passionate enthusiasts, today we wouldn't be bowing to the Chinese and simply rebranding their imported products. I really hope we succeed. The hunt continues.